finally. Thank you. The technical test. Okay. Well, Nefeli, welcome. It's really a pleasure to have you with us. And actually, we were just discussing earlier on. I was saying it's always a pleasure to have back here at the school one of our own, who has made us very proud. So please welcome Nefeli Trantopoulou, who she's one of the recent graduates of ALBA Graduate Business School. And I think Nefeli has many interesting things to share with us about her story. She has many things to tell to us about her creative journey in her career. She's someone who has experience in the field of managing the arts and from the human resources management. And of course, now you're at Google. Really interesting stories, personal and organizational. Of course, Google in and of itself is a very interesting organization. So I'm very, very happy on a personal note because Nefeli and I met long before she took the class, the Creativity and Innovation class, because she's so passionate about everything creative. So she got in touch with me before the class and after the class. So I was not surprised at all to see that how quickly she got a job working with one of the most creative companies in the world, Google. So, floor is yours. Thank you very much. She had to fly last night from Switzerland. Thanks also to Google who allowed you one day to be with us today.
Thank you very much. So, hi everyone. My name is Nefeli, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how I perceive creativity, both personally and professionally, with a main focus on my current role at Google. So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Mainemelis for inviting me here. It's a real pleasure to be back at ALBA, because ALBA was one of the places that fostered my creativity. So before I start talking to you about creativity, I would like to give you some background information about my formal education. I studied in 2001 sociology at the University of Crete. And then in 2007, I completed my first master's degree at the University of Maastricht. In 2013, I joined ALBA, and I did a master on strategic human resources management. And then I decided to go to Switzerland and pursue my career. So after Professor Mainemelis invited me to talk about creativity, I thought, what on earth is creativity? So, of course, I Googled the term creativity definition, and I came up with 73 million results. So, for me, it's not a unanimous definition. It's not a quantitative quality, but it's rather evident in its manifestations. For example, when you see a really good movie, or after a really good conversation, or for example, after admiring a work of art. So you have to find what is really creative for you and just do it. So if you wonder if you are a creative person, for me you should ask yourself, are you curious? I mean, are you interested in other people's opinions? Are you a strategist? Do you try to redefine your goals? Are you a trend spotter? I mean, do you try to stay on the cutting edge of your field? Do you attend lectures? Do you read books? Do you read articles? And how about your intuition? I mean, do you trust your hunches? So, if you have answered yes to one or more of those questions, I think that you are truly a creative person. So, what is creativity? I mean, creativity, it's not a mystical force. It's not something that you have on your genes. It's not something specific. And for me, it's your willingness to play and have fun. You have to find where creativity comes from, and then just do it more often. If you like going to museums, just go 10 times more often. If you like cooking, just cook more often. So for me, it's an ability that everybody has, and in a way, you can develop the skill more fully. And I was thinking about my driving forces. I mean, one of my driving forces that fostered my creativity is, first of all, my motivation. It's my desire to do things, how much I wanted to be a good professional and start working in a good multinational. Two, it's the supporting environment. I mean, it's my friends, my family, the people that empower me every day, the people who support me, who have a positive attitude. of course, my knowledge. I mean, I try to stay on the cutting edge of my field, try to read so many articles. And last but not least, empathy and flexibility. I mean, for me, it's trying to understand emotions and, try to understand emotional and all the emotional stimuli that you get from other people. So, in 2014, I decided to go to Switzerland and start a new life. I wanted to put into practice everything that I learned here at ALBA. And of course, for me, Zurich was a hub of innovation. It is a hub of innovation and a center of economical activity. So I started from scratch, and I had to face some challenges. First of all, the practical challenges. I mean, how do you find a house in Zurich? How can I survive the first month? Because Zurich is a very expensive city. The emotional challenges. I mean, all my friends and my family were here. I left from Greece when I was 31 years old. And of course, all the cultural challenges. I mean, all these behaviors that people have in a foreign country. And for me, the biggest mistake that expats are doing is that when they go to a new place, they try to recreate their old life and what they do in the cities that they already have been living. So for me, it was a challenge to try to adapt in the new city and enjoy my life there. The Google Zurich office. Now we'll show you some pictures. This is one of the buildings, and now we'll show you some rooms where all the engineers and all the employees can work with their laptops, take breaks, and enjoy their working life. So this is the Thai restaurant. This is a micro kitchen. I will tell you all about it later. Okay, and these are my favorite rooms. This is the Jungle Lounge and the aquarium. And you know, it's such a fun environment to work because here you can take your laptop and just work from there. Or you can just take a power nap here. So, how do I perceive creativity at Google? Now, for me, the core value of Google is innovation. And I think that innovation leads to openness. And all these points just lead to the next one and are all prerequisites in order a company to be really creative. So Google shares all the products with people from all around the world, and that makes the company diverse. And all the products for me are really user-friendly, and they create this fun user experience. And in order to proceed, Google collects all this feedback, and it does not exclude anyone from it. So after that, Google asks the question, how can we make the products and our services better? And again, this leads to innovation. Okay, so how do I experience creativity at Google? I mean, it's a non-competitive environment. It's really a fun environment. You know, there is work and life balance. There is no box. I mean, everybody says that, you know, thinking outside of the box, but for me, there is no box at Google. I don't know, but I mean, we have so many perks. We have on-site gyms, we can take massages. I mean, we have free meals, and you know, ideas come from anywhere. So I don't know if you are aware of the 20% project. Does anybody know about that? Yes? Okay, super. So each employee has the opportunity to work 20% of his working hours in a personal project, and most of the products that Google releases are the results of these projects. And Gmail was one of these results. And of course, the micro kitchens, because I mean, we have these stands which are strategically placed, and people can gather around during the afternoon and eat some fruits, or we have cheese plates, and we can exchange ideas. Now, I told you about my driving forces, and now I will tell you how these driving forces are being fostered at the Google Zurich office. With regards to my motivation, I mean, I am working in the field that I always dreamed of, and I can face like diverse challenges with my knowledge and my imagination. I have the freedom to express myself, and apart from that, I have all the high-end equipment and resources to do that. The supporting environment. I mean, you get all the feedback you need from your colleagues, from your managers, and I mean, they are not just plain corrections. I mean, you get better every day. And I think that the most important thing is that you're being assessed for your performance and not your business attire. So, the knowledge. I mean, I can get all the format training that I need and also have the freedom to ask everyday questions. And during this socializing in the kitchens every day, you know, you can get feedback and exchange ideas. And now, empathy and flexibility. I mean, everybody understands you and respects you, and even though you're working under strict deadlines, you can take breaks and clear your mind, go to the gym, or do whatever you want. And now, to sum up, I found a really nice quote that I think it expresses the most important part of creativity, which is the individual. So, let me read it to you. If you have anything really valuable to contribute to the world, it will come through the expression of your own personality. That single spark of divinity that sets you off and makes you different from every other living creature. So, thank you very much.
Well taken. Yeah, you have to give something to get something back.
Of course.
Okay. Let me just go back at your first day at Google. So everybody knows Google. We all have this kind of mental images what Google is all about. So now, of course, you went through, I guess, the screening process. What would you say, going back to your adaptation? What was the most surprising thing for you? What is that you didn't expect to see and you saw? What is it that you expect to see and you didn't see at Google?
Okay, to be honest, the first week I was getting lost in the building. I didn't know where to go. I mean, we have 4 buildings and now we're expanding in the new one in the center of Zurich. But I think that what really impressed me was the fact that I was working with so many professionals from all around the world, and they are so humble and they are so willing to help you and to be a better professional. And it's something that it comes from their heart, and all the people are homogeneous. I mean, they are very funny, they have so many hobbies, and you can exchange ideas, and it's really fun to work with them.
So is this the result of a hiring process?
Yes, I believe it is. But for me, up until now, I never had an interaction with somebody that caused me trouble, or he was grumpy, or I don't know. For me, I just see smiley faces, and the most important thing is that I wake up and I go to my work and I have a really big smile, and then at 6 o'clock, I just close my laptop and go back home, and I am again with a smile face. It's the most important thing.
So you mentioned that people tend to be humble. So there are no big egos at Google?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Yes or no?
No big egos.
No big egos.
No.
So you see, I have this idea that sometimes some good fight is a good springboard for creativity. I guess sometimes people disagree, they may have different ideas, different dreams. And so everything, if you look back the way that people generate and develop and implement ideas at Google, it's all a kind of a smooth, peaceful, harmonious process?
Yes, I believe it is.
It is?
Yes, I believe, of course, I mean, it's not like, it's not Disneyland, but I mean, I think that all this environment and all these things that are being fostered at Google, I think that the main result is to have an environment for other people to be more productive. And I can see that also from myself, because I work 8 hours, but I mean, I am so productive, like I would have been working like 10 hours or 15 hours. I really enjoy it.
So if you look back at, for example, at your role, right? You are in charge of the training process of the Googlers, and I guess most of them are engineers, right?
Yes, we are 2,000 people at the Zurich office, and 1,500 are engineers.
So what are some 2 or 3 of your basic objectives in this training process? What is it you're trying to? I mean, I guess these people you hire them because they're already good in what they do, right?
Okay, I cannot tell you about what trainings we do because it is confidential, because it's all about programming and coding, so I'm sorry. But it's all about the technical skills, programming and coding, and I'm not organizing the soft skills, I'm only organizing the technical skills. So it's not very interesting, I mean.
It's not?
For me, okay, it is, but I mean, I think that engineers are a whole different, they are so different, like a special category of people, you know. Sorry. Some
members of your audience, at least in the previous life, the past life,
I mean
are engineers, so it will be interesting.
I think that, okay, let me rephrase that.
No, it's okay to be straightforward. So engineers,
I think that for me, because I talk a lot with the people that organize the soft skills, the trainings of the soft skills, and what it comes out is that they need more the trainings of the soft skills.
Okay. Well, this is not unheard of for engineers everywhere in the world. It's well taken. But tell me something. I'm trying really to go back. So I guess in a company, creative company, you need to have people, you say, to bring their personalities and their ideas. So you have to be some tolerance for diversity, right?
Yes.
So through this training process, aren't you somehow, I'm talking about the soft skills, making people more or less more alike, more homogeneous?
No, because I think that they try to foster the culture of creativity through these trainings, like what Google stands for and how the culture is. Because you can see it in all the people at Google that everybody functions in the same way, after a while at least. So, yes.
Okay. Is there some inherent pressure to be creative at Google? So is it something, this place, that if you go, you feel that you have to be creative, that other people you must show to them somehow that you are creative?
No. I think that all this, that this environment of Google, because it's really fun to work at Google, I think it makes you subconsciously more creative, and there is no pressure. You can exchange your ideas and express yourself, and even though sometimes I used to say to my manager, can I ask you something really stupid? And she was like, no, it's not stupid, Nefeli, just tell me. And sometimes, you know, the ideas that you think that they are stupid, they are really good ideas. And this is why I believe that you have to express yourself, you have to understand where creativity comes from you, inside of you. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. I hope to all of us. But what happens if I have a bad day? I mean, you know, sometimes I get I'm a bit hot-blooded. Yeah. So what happens? Do I have to? I guess I have to control myself.
No. You can just take your laptop and go sit in a room alone. Yeah, I mean, you have the freedom to work from every room you want, and but I think that people they understand when you have a bad day. I mean, and you don't have to be really sociable that day. You can just like go to another room.
Okay. In your experience, I mean, I know you have not been for a long time there. Have you come across any people who had a hard time adapting to Google, perhaps getting hired at Google and perhaps 1 month, some weeks later leaving because for some reason they didn't adapt well? And if yes, can you tell us why would that happen for some?
The only thing that I can say is that because the engineers, they have to pass 7, 8 or 9 interviews. The first day that I see them, they are so happy and relieved. And I mean, everybody is, it comes from all around the world. So the most difficult part is all these people, the nooglers as we call them, to try to make teams and learn and get to know each other. I organize also some social events at Google, so all the nooglers we have to learn each other because they come from all around the world. But I think that the whole environment of Google is like working at home. It's like a colorful playground. So, of course, there will be people who won't adapt very easily, but sometimes you cannot tell. I mean, yeah.
So, wherever and whenever you have people who come from all across the world, from different cultures, you know, people have different habits and different norms. So sometimes, and traditionally, most companies would resolve that problem by imposing these very strict rules of behavior or implicit norms of behavior, so people somehow dress and behave in the same way. If you have this kind of more tolerant, more playful culture, how do how does it happen at Google that you bring people from Africa and the Middle East and from the Americas and from Europe, and despite their cultural differences, somehow they can collaborate in a kind of a fun way? How even the interpretation of fun can vary across cultures, right?
I mean, this freedom to come at work with like people come with their flip-flops or almost with their pajamas. I mean, you have the freedom to express yourself. And for example, we have so many kitchens, and sometimes they organize theme cooking from all around the world. During Christmas times, we do some festivals outside in the garden. So people respect every culture, and I think it's really fun. And for me, it's like an emotional and cultural stimuli. When you have to interact with so many people from all around the world, I mean, you can only learn things. And I think that this unbiased environment makes it easier.
Okay. Okay. Let's get some questions or comments or reflections from the class. Please.
Hello.
Hi.
One question. Okay, Google is a very big company, a very successful company. So, how do you think that a company like Google can manage the strict deadlines that is expected from the employees to follow by regarding their projects? And on the one hand, and on the other hand, to let them also be innovative and creative and do their 20% projects, and etc. Of course, it's a challenge, I guess. So, how does Google manage this?
I think that this being managed, I mean, from the fact that there is a good time management, first of all, and there is really good collaboration between the teams with your manager or supervisors. And I think that when you have this freedom to take, I mean, even if you have like strict deadlines, you can organize your time. I mean, you can take breaks, but when you have to deliver, everything is being delivered on time. And in a way, I don't know, it has to do with all the time management and how people interact with each other. They are really good teams, and up until now, I mean, I never came up with such a problem.
Hello.
Hi.
I would like to ask if it's the norm for engineers to work for 8 hours, for example. Because always, I don't know how they can fit in an 8-hour schedule.
Okay, I mean, you don't have to work like 8 hours precisely, but because, I mean, some people just go to the office, for example, at 10 in the morning and just, I mean, finish their work at 8 in the evening, but during the day they can do whatever they want. They can play PlayStation, they can sleep, they can eat, they can go to the gym. So it's like you are doing everything, but simultaneously you are working. So even for me, sometimes that I have to stay a little bit longer, it doesn't matter, because during the day I can do so many things, and even if it is a really stressful day, I can have more energy then and be more productive, and I mean, I'm happy. I don't care if I have to work 1 hour more or, yeah, you're welcome.
So it sounds that you have, I mean, it sounds that time pressures are quite rare in your work environment. You
Yes.
understand how unbelievable this sounds to most
Yeah, I
of us.
know.
It's, you make it sound that, you know, you have a schedule, you go to from, what time, 9
9.
to
6.
6, and actually for the most part it's a kind of a nice work, there is harmony. And how it is really, considering that I guess you have work that it's, has to be, what Google does, has to be world class and also has to be the frontiers of its field. So how, is it all scheduling? Is it that you have perhaps the resources to hire many people so that people can do not huge loads of work? What is it?
I think that people are so concentrated when they work because they don't feel the stress. So I think that they are more productive than most people who are in their working day. I mean, for me, I said previously that even though I work 8 hours, it's like I am working 10, 12 hours. I'm so concentrated and I am so happy, because I think that when you work at Google or in general in a really nice company, I mean, you don't care about the hours. I never watch my watch. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I I just work, do my things, do my tasks, deliver, and during the day I can have fun. I can go for a coffee with a colleague of mine and talk about some things for some projects that we do. And for me, this is the most creative part. Just enjoy your work and have a work and life balance. And when you leave at 6 o'clock or at 8 o'clock, you just close your laptop and that's it. I mean, then your life begins.
Okay, that means that we're doing many things wrong by asking people to stay longer, but it makes sense to me as well. Please.
Hey, hi, Nefeli.
Hi.
I'm Stefanos. I have two questions actually. The question number one is, in our, let's say, normal or abnormal companies, we try to invent creativity through some flexibility or freedoms that we have. We all know that Google is a really creative implemented corporation. So creativity is really full there. But what about any somehow constraints, any restrictions? Do you have some? Can you imagine that you have something, if any? Okay, and the second question, I don't want to press it. The second question is, if you have ever been working in this aquarium office, just describe.
I usually avoid to go there because then I am sleeping there, so I just avoid it and get back to my desk. So, I mean, no, I think that there are no constraints, at least in my field but I think that you cannot have creativity when you have constraints. I mean, I don't know. You can have creativity when you have like a creative distraction. For me, for example, the economic crisis in Greece, even though it was a distraction, I mean, my whole world fell apart because it was so difficult to find a job. But on the other side, it was a challenge, and I pushed myself like really hard and made the decision to go to Zurich and start a new life. But even though, I mean, I know that it's really difficult in Greece. I tried to find a job. It was not easy. But I think that this is one of the most important things of creativity, is that you have to take risks and find your own creativity. And even though you can fail, it doesn't matter. I mean, I have failed thousands of times. I went to interviews, they didn't like me at all. I mean, but I kept on trying, and you know, one day you can do the job that you always have been dreaming.
So when you say you have to take risk, what type of risk?
I mean, to live your life here in Greece. I mean, I was 31 when I left. All my friends are here, my family, and you have to challenge yourself, because I think that when you challenge yourself, you are more creative. I mean, you learn new things. You go to a foreign country and you know, you don't know where to pay your bills. You don't know where to drink a really nice coffee. You have to create a new network.
Okay, but however, the way you're describing your experience and how happy, I think I counted 6 or 7 times you said how happy you are. So for someone who describes her experience that way, it seems to me that it was not merely an issue of you trying to find a job and you couldn't find a job. It seems to me that probably you couldn't find the type of job that would make you feel well. It is.
Let me tell you something else. Before I started working at Google, I worked for 9 months in a consulting boutique as a recruiter. And for me, it was, even though it was a really good experience and I learned a lot of things as a recruiter, we did global executive search, but I mean, the environment was so stressful that sometimes, you know, I was working weekends during the night. I mean, my brother used to close my laptop and just say to me, just stop it. And for me, I didn't like that. I was not happy. Even though the job was really good, it's not about only working. It's trying to have like a good balance in your life. Do the things you love. Sometimes you're working in companies that, okay, it's not the best company for you, but at least you get the experience. And I learned a lot of things as a recruiter too. And then I moved on. And I tried to find the job at Google.
So when you look back empirically, the case that you know, why some people, I guess, leave Google, why and where do they go? and why?
Where did it go? Okay, I have an example. I met somebody at Google, a Greek guy. I hope he will not see the video. And every day I used to meet him at the restaurant, or we were drinking coffee, and every day he had something bad to say about everything at Google. Like, he didn't like the coffee because the milk was not so... I mean, you cannot imagine, but it's the mentality. You cannot see people at Google like saying bad things or like being grumpy every day, and he was constantly saying something that he didn't like. And one day I asked him, okay, can you say something like really good? Why are you working here? I mean, if you don't like it, just leave. I mean, nobody, you're not, you can go. And he was like, yes, yes, but I have to stay. And but for me, this is one of the, I don't know, it's one of the things that I love at Google, that the people are homogeneous, and you don't see people like, I don't know, not being weird, but they enjoy their work at Google. And I think that when they leave, I think it has to do with personal factors. I don't know, they leave the country, or they are not satisfied for, I don't know, the reasons. But I don't think that they leave the company because the environment, it's not good, or it's stressful, or, yeah, I don't know.
So I was thinking that creativity and innovation are the core values of Google, and they are flourishing all around the organization. So I'm actually, to be honest, I'm seeing for more specific, and I hope it's not that confidential information, how creativity is reflecting during your selection process, for example. Was that some selection process?
Okay. Yeah.
Position. Was that something that was really different from all the other interviews that you had gone?
Okay, I had to pass 3 interviews, and I think, of course, I cannot tell you the questions and everything, but I can give like a hint. I think that they are really behavioral centered. They want to see your personality, how you react in different situations. For example, Professor Mainemelis previously asked me what happens if one day I'm not really happy, and so I think that they want to see how your personality is, how you can fit in the company, and apart from your skills. I mean, I didn't finish Harvard or whatever.
Better, you finished Harvard.
Yes, of course. But I think it has to do more with personality in my area, because of course the engineers, they need to have like good degrees and PhDs, and I think that 1/3 of the engineers at the Google offices, they do have a PhD. But I mean, it's all about your personality, if you fit in the company. And to be honest, both 3 interviews were a really nice experience, because I thought that it would be really stressful, but I was not. I mean, it was like chatting with somebody and explaining what you have been doing, what do you want to do in the future, some things about what would you do if this or that or the other. And
Can I say something?
yes.
Because I don't know if it's just rumors. For example, I have listened that there are some kind of weird questions such as...
I think that these are rumors. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know about the engineers, because I mean, it's totally different. But no, I didn't hear like a weird question or like, no, everything was really simple. You're welcome.
In order to sustain that culture of innovation, I guess that your selection criteria are specific on some areas. Which are the most important soft skills someone should have in order to be hired in Google?
I think that he or she has to have empathy. I think that empathy in general, and also for me personally, is a core value. And I think that you must be sociable in a way. I don't know. Yeah, in one way. Friendly. I think that all the normal things that people want their peers to have when they work with them. I mean, it's not something specifically, But I think in general they want to see that you can work with people from all around the world and don't have a problem with that, and be open to any ideas that come from everywhere. Yeah, I think that this is the most important skills. But in general, I think with all these questions that they make, they have to see if you're a good fit, because they know the company so well, all the recruiters and everything, and they know the managers that you will work for. So they are doing all the combinations, and they see if you can also work, for example, me with my manager. And to be honest, I was really surprised, because after I passed the first interview, I was being interviewed by my manager, and I mean, our combination was so evident that it would work out as I can also experience it now. So I think that they are doing something like really good, correct. I mean.
I don't know if you've had the chance to be involved in a creative project as part of that 20% rule, or you have perhaps a colleague. Could you describe perhaps the life cycle of someone being involved in such a project? You know,
I can tell you about my manager. She's doing yoga. She's the yoga instructor at the Google Zurich office, and every Friday she's teaching yoga. And it is really surprisingly to see that that you have so many colleagues come to your class and are being involved, and after the class you chat with them, you exchange ideas. I mean, even if you have stress, this is being relieved. And I think that all these small things again make the people like connect and work better, because then you see the other person in the next department and say, oh, hello, we went yoga together and blah blah blah, what are you doing now, what's your project? And I think this fosters creativity. I mean, it's really nice.
Hi, Nefeli.
Hi.
Did it ever happen to have a guy who was more relaxed than he's supposed to be, and how did you overcome that?
That's a nice one.
Relaxed.
Too relaxed.
Yeah.
Too happy.
Yeah, too happy. We are all very happy, so you cannot see the difference. But to be honest, no. But also you can see, I mean, when people, you can see them, if you go all around the building sometimes, you can see people like playing pool or playing PlayStation. But after that, you can see them like work really hard and stay until late. So I don't think that employees at Google try to lack working hours, because they are so satisfied. So they don't have to like be like super relaxed. And this is a myth. I mean, and for me, the only thing that, for example, I am doing during my working hours is just go to the gym. And if I go to the gym, then I don't go and eat at the restaurant for 2 hours. I just take my meal and go to my office and eat like really quickly. So, yes. Or even if I go to the restaurant, then I will stay until 7 o'clock in the afternoon and finish my work.
What is the most stressful thing in Google? Is it deadlines or something more weird?
For me, it's stressful. In the beginning, I don't know, I thought that you have to be like really smart, because people like all people believe that people who work at Google are really smart and they are different. I think that this is a myth. I mean, they are ordinary people who can express themselves, develop themselves, like doing interesting things. No.
Jakob, please.
I have a very short question. Let's say you wake up one morning and you know, you're happy, you go to work, and they say, okay, Nefeli, we have one thing you have to do today. Change something, only one thing in Google. What would that be?
Oh, that's a nice question. It's a tough one. Okay. Change something. Come to Greece, yes. No. Change something at the... change something. To be honest, I cannot think of something now, but I mean, change something. Change. I cannot think of something, but you know, no, I don't think so. I would change something. That doesn't mean, of course, that everything is perfect, but at least for me, up until now, everything is okay.
Yeah, you can also change it for the better.
Yes, of course. I think that one thing is that we have so many male employees. Honestly, I mean, most of them, because they are engineers, yes, there are not a lot of women sometimes, and you have to talk all the time with engineers, and you don't see a lot of women like. So, yeah, but of course, this is not my problem.
That's about the demographics.
Yeah. For me, because I am the only person at Google who does all these trainings. I am alone. I only have one manager, my manager. And the thing is, it has to do with your manager or your colleagues that you work in projects or what everything you are doing. You can discuss with them. You can find your own I know, time management and schedule everything. And for me, I mean, I'm working alone in a way, and I have to organize everything with all of the other offices. So it's up to me to decide what I want to do during the day, how I want to schedule my meetings, my free time. But I mean, you have the freedom to do everything you want to do, and I mean, as long as you do your work and you complete your tasks. Yes. Yes, because they have to communicate with each other and see how this will work out. I mean, it's not something specific that you have to do or you don't have to do, or you have the freedom to do everything by yourself.
Okay, let's have one more question. No? Okay. Oh, okay. Stamatis.
Nefeli, was there a time that you or someone else in Google did not meet the deadline, and how did your manager or the organization react?
To be honest, because I tried to finish everything before the deadlines. This is not really good because then I have a lot of stress, but it's my problem. I have not faced such a problem. And I think that, no, I have never faced such a problem.
Case, in general?
In general, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I have never heard of something like that. Of course, it must have happened, but at least I didn't hear of it. Yeah, but everything, I think it's, I don't know, in my working hours, no, nothing. In my work, nothing. I mean, because I have to speak with so many offices and organize things, I mean, I have never faced a problem, like not replying or, no, everything, I mean, works like a clock.
Right. I jotted down 4 things that I think was a very interesting conversation, but there are 4 things I wrote down because I think I just want to rehash them because I think it'd be useful to us to think about them also for the remaining of the class. The first one, I don't know if you noticed, we will see this when we watch the video back later. Basically, we asked you the same question 4 or 5 times because in a way, more or less, we were surprised about the level of agreeableness that you described at Google.
Yeah.
And that's because most of us have learned that to be successful in business, you must be tough and hard-minded and tough-headed and competitive. And basically, you kept on telling us that people are nice and they're sociable and they have empathy and they're agreeable. And in a way, we asked you 4 or 5 times because it's something which could be something that I guess it's not just us representative, most people. So I think that's one thing I would like to keep from our conversation. And it seems you were very comfortable saying that so many times. So we take it that it is a rather, especially the idea of being humble.
Yes, I
it's
think
really, I don't know how many of us, how many people in the world would think that Google, the famous Google, employs so many people, but actually instead of being very ego-driven, tend to be quiet, humble. Perhaps one thing I would like to think tonight is what happens if you have people who are very successful, all of them, and they work in a very successful company. It's not that surprising that in order to live together, they have to be, so to speak, Let's see a different example. It's one
Yeah.
interesting question. The second one, which again we asked 3 or 4 times, is about the deadlines and what happens misses things. Which it's, you know, the old school of thought, if you don't want people to miss deadlines, you have to put someone, a minder, over their backs and their heads to be looking and to remind them. So basically it seems that Google is one of these examples. It's not only Google, but now we're talking about your experience at Google, that control is not external. It's not the manager who's going to look if you're doing it. But basically it seems that very quickly, judging from your experience, people completely internalize these sets of norms and rules, and they simply want to make sure that they're not late, and they don't let down anything. And that might at first may seem more subtle, but I think Nefelis is right, that can be extremely powerful. And it's a way of controlling behavior which is internal, and if I'm allowed to say, just supporting what you said also outside Google, it's a more adult way of doing things. And actually people internally control and coordinate, and they don't expect someone else to do it for them. To me, it's something that I always admired in companies like Google. It appears to be more youthful and more playful, but if you look at these sort of behaviors, they're way more mature. People do not expect a minder to go and say, do this or what.
Yeah.
It's really much more mature adult behavior if you think about it, although it appears and it is more playful. The third thing which was really interesting for me, and I really want us to keep it from today's discussion, is that people do not go to say, I'm going to be creative, or we're going to be creative. It seems to have a more procedural way to talk about creativity. We are a company that deals with information and knowledge, so we have to keep on learning, solving problems, and that's how it happens. Which actually, to me, makes absolute perfect sense. It's not an exception, it's something you live by. And you also said that people, I noted that you have ordinary people just working together and find a way to do. But, Nefeli, the last one, I think it was a wonderful thing to say. Basically, you told us you are ordinary people, and then quickly you said that your manager is a yoga instructor of the company. And you must look at these guys and ask them, who has a manager who's also the yoga instructor in their company? That's not very ordinary. And I just love that because it seems ordinary. It's okay, it seems ordinary to you. It will not be ordinary for so many of us. I want to go back and we'll finish with that. I just want to revisit Yaga's question. But not what we're going to change in Google.
Okay.
What is ahead for you personally? It's really nice to see you feeling happy and well adjusted and adapted at Google, but you still you're very young, you have a whole career, whether inside
so
Google or
okay.
career-wise, you are not even in the midpoint.
Yes,
So
but it's my first time that I worked in a multinational. I have never worked in a multinational, so it's my first time. Yeah, and some people believe that it is really important to start working in a multinational after you graduate when you're 25 or 26. And when I decided to go to Switzerland, some people told me you are too old to start working in a multinational. Nobody will have.
when people tell you that.
Yes. But for me, it's an even bigger challenge. So I wanted to succeed. Yeah.
Some people they say you're too old, others sometimes they tell you you're too young. Anyways, at some point you find the right balance. But my question was looking ahead creatively. What is that you would like to experience, to do, to change in the sense of constructing something in your future, personally, whether in Google or in the long term outside Google? What is that you would like to still do, make, construct, experience, achieve?
Okay.
If there's something clear, because you may be still in the process.
No, it's not everything about Google. I mean, people have life. I mean, apart from their working environment and everything. For me, is that I would like to have this learning agility that I think that I have, and try to be a better professional, even if that means that I won't work at Google in the future. And this is why I try to read, and I love to read, and I try to become a better professional. I want to have work and life balance. I want to be able to, I don't know, like make a family. This is also a very creative thing. But I want to be a good professional. I mean, I love HR. I love all the things that I have studied. I mean, I have studied so many years, and I think I just want to be happy, to continue to be happy. Of course, I mean, I'm not constantly happy with a smiley face, but I think that the most important thing is to have work and life balance, try to have, and just be positive, have positive psychology, and have people around you that empower you, and yeah, and share things. I think that when you have knowledge, you have to share your knowledge and meet new people, and it's really important to try to meet new people. I mean, exchange ideas, make a bigger network, a wider network, and I think then everything will flow. Just go with the flow and trust your intuition and your hunches and everything, and yeah.
It was great to have you here with us. I hope you
for
enjoyed
having
it.
me here.
Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to learning more about it. Thank you.